South Africa has grown its trade with the US for almost 3 decades, largely thanks to benefits of America's African Growth and Opportunity Act. AGOA provides eligible sub-Saharan African countries with duty-free access to the US market for hundreds of different products. However, America may no longer feel South Africa is eligible. South Africa's decision to take US ally Israel to the International Criminal Court of Justice on accusations of genocide angered many in Washington. The Trump administration has been particularly frustrated with the new land seizure law in South Africa, saying it's violating people's rights. For this, the US president cancelled all aid to the country. Will this trade act be next? An act that many businesses in South Africa depend on.
There are people that are employed in the citrus farms. There are people that are employed in the automotive sector that do the assembling of all the cars that go into the US from South Africa. It doesn't mean completely being shut out of the US markets. It just means US consumers will no longer buy South African products at the same price as they used before, which would make South African products less competitive.
South Africa's economy has been staggering along with growth averaging at just 1% per annum. AGOA is just a small cog in America's giant economy, but it's important to many African businesses. However, while analysts say many South Africans may suffer from an exclusion, it may not be as significant as a few years ago.
Out of the value of US global trade, which is about 3.7 trillion, the value of AGOA is probably about 9.7 billion. So it's still small in the bigger picture. Having said that, if you look from a South Africa perspective, obviously the big drivers at the moment are the agricultural sector, the automobile sector. From 2013, the coverage of AGOA to 2024, the coverage of AGOA has actually dropped from 44% to about 25%.
But some trade experts say South Africa should cut its losses and look to new markets, and more especially strengthen its partnerships with the BRICS countries, which are emerging as some of the world's fastest growing economies.
So many countries list China as an example as their biggest trading partner, which is something that is very different to 20 years ago, where many countries would list the likes of the US and Europe. So which means we are seeing a change in trade patterns. And this is also influenced by the tariffs that the US is imposing on many countries. If you impose tariffs, countries are going to see that as a risk, and they are going to diversify their exports or their trade to other countries.
A delegation of business and political leaders are preparing to travel to Washington with the hope of convincing the new administration under US President Donald Trump to keep working with South Africa. But many stakeholders here believe it's a waste of time. South Africa will soon be out, and it's time to move on. Sumitra Nadu, CGTN, Johannesburg.